Good afternoon, everybody. It's about 4:30. It's Dr. Brown here, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our January 13th edition of our virtual town hall. I want to give everybody just a couple of moments to be able to log in and kind of get settled here. Going to take you on a little bit of a journey through a few things today. I want to talk about not only FoodLink that we've had going on, but also want to talk about COVID and the budget and construction and what the future might bring for our students, both for the rest of this year and beyond. You're going to see me actually probably looking over to my left for a few moments. That's because I'm going to be moderating our conversation today on our YouTube channel. So if any of you have questions that you would like to ask, you'll be able to do that. I'm actually going to, I'm going to open this up and put us right in the chat feature. So, and I'm going to show you where you can ask your questions. Please ask your questions here. And I'll hit that. So you should see where you'll be able to ask questions. For those of you who have not had a chance to maybe watch a town hall that we have, there's about a 20-second delay in between the Zoom link that I use to broadcast and the YouTube link that you might be seeing from your phone or your laptop or at home or wherever you are. So I'll keep checking my other computer periodically, but you can feel free to ask questions whenever you'd like, okay? Before we get started, if you look behind me, I'm a lifelong Bills fan, not a bandwagon jumper Bills fan, but I do want to give a big shout out up at the top by the clock. You're going to see a Buffalo Bills pennant, and I want to give special thanks to Colton Ramirez and his family. They made a very nice birthday card for me. I turned 50 Friday of last week, and I got a billion cards. It was so totally awesome. And Colton and his family wrote me a great little letter along with this Buffalo Bills pennant. So Colton, or your family, if you're watching, it's going to be hanging right there until the Bills win the Super Bowl and beyond. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'm going to be bringing up our virtual town hall. I want to play this right from the start. And like I said before, so our town hall topics for today: FoodLink, COVID, construction, budget, and then kind of what's next, and then hopefully take any questions. And Mr. Staley from Tuscaloosa is asking, how's Luna? Luna's doing great. If she's actually at home today, she's being quite a puppy. For those who don't know who Luna is, she's my little teacup golden doodle, and she's in full puppy mode right now. So she's losing teeth and all of that. So I am in the process of getting ready to have her professionally trained to be a therapy dog. And she has passed all the initial pieces with flying colors, being able to be near lots of students and adults and in all kinds of different situations. She handles it incredibly well. So if your kids are talking about Luna, that's who she is. And hopefully she'll be a mainstay for us here for years and years to come. So FoodLink. FoodLink is something that we're very, very proud of being able to do. We started FoodLink actually before July, but this graph would have looked too crowded had we added dates before that. And people ask me, how FoodLink's doing or how we're doing, how people are doing in the middle of this pandemic. And I would say, in our particular community, people are working very, very hard, and people are pitching in. People are doing things that they didn't think that they could do, and all of that. But at the same time, the need for some of the basics is growing, and we've been recognizing that and trying to respond to that challenge to help out our community members because they're helping us so much. So our next FoodLink dates, January 14th and 28th, February 4th, 11th, and 25th. You can see there since July 9th. We've had the pleasure of serving 9,786 people, give or take. And then we're going to try to extend that beyond February. We're a high volume site for FoodLink. We appreciate FoodLink and all of their sponsors for making it possible. One of the growing pains that FoodLink has had at the start of this year has been the availability of meat. They just reopened their warehouses and stuff on January 4th. So the last two food links have not had meat. I got word today that they're trying to get us some for our food link tomorrow, but they promised us meat in our shipments for the food links beyond. So for the 28th and beyond. So hope to see you there. It really gives me an opportunity to see many of you. You can tell, our last one we served over 1,000 people. Gives me a great opportunity to see a lot of people, talk to you, catch up. Getting to know a lot of you very, very well. And for anybody who's watching who thinks that you shouldn't come up because you are embarrassed or someone's going to know, I would just tell you and that you're in a no judgment zone. You come up, you get your food, everybody's polite and friendly. We have a few laughs and listen to what you got going on, and you go home, and then you come back next time. Okay, so hope to see you there on that. So that's Food Link, and I also want to thank our many volunteers that we have. We have student volunteers, we have employee volunteers, we have some community volunteers, and are very, very pleased about that. So COVID-19, I want to answer what I can, but some of the questions that I get when I'm at the store or somewhere, how many employees have we quarantined? How many students do we have quarantined? And so the data that you see here is as of 3 p.m. today. So we've had, since January 1st, we've had 34 employees who have been quarantined and 147 students since January 1st. Seems like a high number, it kind of is, but if you've been watching the news, you have seen where people have said there's going to be a Christmas spike, and everybody is seeing that. I want to thank our cleaners and custodians and everybody for, really, we've been able to remain open, knock on wood, when a lot of schools have had to close or go fully remote. And we just take that decision so seriously because we know so many people have to go to work, bottom line. And, we also know here at school, we're able to give students hot meals. We're able to give them, extra relationship and connections and help with their schoolwork and all of that. And so we're trying to keep schools open as best we can. And we're trying to get our students who are on quarantine back as quickly as possible. The Department of Health really has done a great job. Every single weekend I've had to work with the Department of Health on something. And Sunday night, I was texting back and forth with the Department of Health in Ontario until almost 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. And they responded to every single question I had to allow us to make decisions for Monday morning. So that's very, very much appreciated. The one thing that I think is important to note, there has not been one case of COVID that's been traced back to any type of spread at school. They've all been traced back to cases or situations that have occurred outside of the home. I mean, it doesn't help if somebody still has COVID or somebody is quarantined because they've been in contact with somebody who has COVID. But if I was looking at this from a parent point of view, my kids are older, but if my kids were in school, I would be saying to myself, school is a pretty safe place for them to be since there's been no spread traced back to the school. On the vaccination front, there seems to be things changing every day when it comes to vaccinations. I happened to get my vaccination today, and I think the buildup to the vaccination was actually worse than the vaccination itself. Knock on wood, I've had no side effects. It actually it hurt less than getting the flu shot for me. We'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. I know some people have had a couple of reactions to it, and some people have had nothing, and people have had everything in between. I've been fortunate not to have any reaction to it. I really hope that they can increase the number of doses. There's 300,000 doses per week that are dedicated to New York State, and they try to get those 300,000 doses out as quickly as they can. I think some important information that I get questions about, how old do you have to be to get the vaccine? You got to be 18 or older. And when I kind of pride the departments of health, because, we have buildings in Yates and Ontario County, and we have great relationships with their departments of health, but we also have employees who live in Monroe, Steuben, Yates, and Seneca. So we also work with those departments of health as well. And what they're telling me is that the 18, that 18 senior, 12th grader, 11th, 12th grader population, they're not going to get vaccines if they're 18 until later. So I wouldn't even plan on a vaccine for them for the remainder of this school year. They're currently in phase 1A and 1B, which for us means that all school employees are eligible. What we've been doing is we've been giving employees letters on our school letterhead that just say that they're in the 1B phase as an educator and are eligible for the vaccine. Vaccine is not mandatory. So, one of the things I don't do, because I think people have a right to their privacy, is I don't go around in public asking people if they got their vaccine, if they're going to get the vaccine and that kind of thing. What I do know is that when we sign the letterhead paper for people to go get a vaccine, I can count those, and because some sites require it and some sites don't. So as of right now, we've had about 110 of our 312 employees scheduled or they have received the vaccine. That number is probably higher because, like I said, if they don't need something on letterhead, then I don't know if they are going to get their vaccine or not. I'm working as hard as I can to try to get a vaccine distribution day just for school employees, because there are many people who either can't get on the computer to get one, or they're full or whatever. So I've been aggressively working with some of the hospitals and clinics trying to get something for the remainder of our employees who might need it. And at the same time, I just want to say thank you to all of our healthcare workers, frontline people, to the people who are giving the vaccine and all of that. It's just a different time in our history, and I appreciate people being willing to step up to help humanity. So construction, this is one of the things that I was hoping to be able to really show off to all of you well before now. If one of the last things you attended was a basketball game last fall, or maybe a production last winter before we had to close things up, what you saw then and what you're going to see now are just wildly different. I can't be more impressed with how our auditorium looks. It's a professional auditorium. It was a long time coming for the district. Anybody that's into the fine arts, or anybody that comes to our events, graduations, all of that kind of thing, when you are able to come back to school and we're able to invite you in, I think you are going to be very impressed, not only with the seating. The auditorium's got all new seating. It's got all new lighting, so you'll actually be able to see everything. The sound system is phenomenal. It's an 80,000 watt sound system that really reaches everywhere. The space was acoustically designed so you can hear everything in every part of the auditorium. The lights are great, and like I said, we just can't wait to have student productions there and to be able to show it off to you. I think the same thing applies to the gym. It's at the bottom left of your screen. The floor was, the entire gym was gutted right down to the concrete on the floor, and the walls and the bleachers were taken out and all of that, and the pieces of the ceiling were taken down. So from the floor to the ceiling, it's entirely new. The only things that are left over from the old gym are the cinder blocks that are on the wall that were repainted. So when you are able to come to an event, I think you're going to find it to be a showpiece, just like the auditorium. The floor is phenomenal. If you played on the old floor back in the day, and I had a chance to run with the kids before we had to close up shop last year, there were some dead spots and that kind of thing. Those are all gone. It's all brand new flooring. But one of the things we tried to do was keep it so that when you come to an event, when our hallways are done, you're going to notice that we took pieces of the old floor and we made benches out of them and some other things. So when you come back to the school, you're going to be able to tell people and point to people that you played on that floor. It'll actually be pieces of the old floor. And I don't want to give too much of it away, but when we're able to open up schools again and you can see it, I think you're going to be impressed. New sound system also in the gym, so it doesn't sound like we're blowing you out of there with music, because we have to turn it up to be able to hear it at all. It's very leveled and balanced, and we're very happy about that. The students who have been using it for physical education classes are really happy. and impressed, and they should be. It's a, like I said, it's a showpiece, and also will not be as loud. We put in new heating and cooling on the roof as well that are incredibly quiet. So, and at the bottom right, it's the first time in my career, 20 years, I've done a lot of construction projects in my career. It's the first time I've ever put a second story on a building. And I was a little nervous at first, but the architects and engineers and construction workers have just been phenomenal. A lot of them live in our community, and that pride shows in the work that they're doing. The picture on the bottom right is kind of showing you the skeleton of the second floor. And again, that's going to house an indoor track, a fitness center, and kind of a multi-purpose room. Next week, for the first time, I'm going to see that second floor. They are going to be pouring concrete to actually make the floor for 7 hours in a row, approximately. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. So the way that it's built, the second floor, is they actually put it up on what I consider to be stilts. Again, if you look at the bottom right picture and you see pieces of steel going up, it's as if the second floor is on top of those pieces of steel, and those pieces of steel go inside the building as well. So really, if it was like Legos, the second story is just a little bit above the first story, and if you should be able theoretically to move the first story actually out of there, and that second story would stand all by itself just fine. So it's a really cool piece of engineering in there, and I'm looking very forward to showing that to all of you. On the bottom right picture, those big openings that you're seeing, those are all going to be windows. So when you're using the track, you're going to be able to see to the football field, the entire field of Wildcat Field. You're also going to be Wildcat Stadium, I should say, and you're also going to be able to see deep into the valley. It's a pretty cool view. I had a chance to go up there recently and check it out. In the center picture, that's underneath the second story. And basically, we're going to be redoing our tech rooms and all of that. So those haven't been done in 30 years. So it'll be interesting to see that design when it's done. So a couple of things that you would want to know probably as community members, the project is on schedule for an October 21st completion, and it's on budget. So we're actually going to be opening up some bids on Monday that are for the next phase. So the next phase would be, we have a big electronic sign board that's going to fit in well with the theme of the rest of the building. We've got that. We're doing some parking lot work. We're going to be redoing our cafeteria to make it more of a bistro style. So it's more of what the students were asking for. We're going to have some revamp of our high school kitchen, which is where the majority of our cooking takes place. That's been needed for a long time, and then some other things as well. So I'm hoping that once people are able to get the vaccine or we're able to relax some of the rules that we have and get people in here to see the buildings, I just think you're going to be, I know you're all proud now to be a part of this community. I think you're going to be even more proud when you see all this work that's been done. So budget development, as I said to the board on Monday night, everything hinges on the amount of state and federal aid that we get. I think it's my 20th year as superintendent, which means it's my 23rd year of building school budgets. And I showed this, if you follow me on Twitter, this calculator, this has been with me that entire time. It's a little faded and cracked and everything else, but it still works. And, we need to find out how much aid we're going to get from New York State and also from the federal government before we can start really piecing the budget together, okay? Our high-level budget goals would be to maintain as many programs as possible. And I said, see above, obviously, if we get enough money to sustain our school the way we've had it and all of that, we'll be able to maintain all of our programs without a problem. If we don't get money from the state, that's going to put us in a position to have to make some challenging decisions. The thing is, we also want this budget to fall within the tax cap. If you were to go back to that FoodLink slide that I showed, we've been on a steady uptick to serving over 1,000 people almost weekly for FoodLink. I think it would be pretty fiscally irresponsible and arrogant, quite frankly, if we were to not take that into consideration, that our community is struggling as well, and bring you something that's above the tax cap. So we may have to, we'll find out what that number is. It's not available yet, and make sure that we're within it. And we'll go from there. So like I said, I don't know if we'll be making challenging decisions yet or not. If we have to, we will. And if we don't have to, we won't. That's the way I'll leave it. And as we continue the budget process, I'll get information out to you as much as I can. Okay. So I'm hoping for a full budget presentation by early February, if we can get all the numbers that we need to make it work. So going to the next slide, what's next? I think what I tell people is, if you have children and you've seen Finding Nemo, the line that comes out of that movie is keep swimming. And that's what we're going to do. Just keep swimming. We can't give up. We're not going to give up. We're strong. We're resilient. We've made it this far. We are going to make it the rest of the way. And failure is not an option here, and quitting is not an option. So we're going to continue forward and keep swimming. What I think is, we're also trying to add any type of opportunity that we can for students as allowed. And so what that means is, whenever we get an idea, maybe a teacher gets an idea or someone gets an idea to do something for students, I have them put that kind of in a paragraph form, and I send that to the Department of Health, and I say, okay, here's the idea. What do you think? And they'll give me some responses, what they think, some things that we can change to make it so students can have opportunity. And then we try to get that opportunity out there. So of course, on a lot of people's minds are high risk sports or athletics like basketball, wrestling, football, cheer. Personally speaking, if there's enough rapid tests available for everybody to have one or get one whenever they want to, then I'd be in full support of having high risk sports start. And I would do that by having student athletes take a rapid test before their contest and then do contact tracing after. Unfortunately, I probably wouldn't be in support of fans, because if they haven't had both doses of the vaccine, they're going to be a spreader. So I think if we're talking about what's best for students, we would probably want to keep the areas as empty as possible, but let them compete and broadcast those sports. I have a poll on my Twitter right now, reaching out to any high school athlete in New York State, asking them that if they had to wear a mask, and I mean really wear a mask, while they were competing, if it meant being able to play an indoor high-risk winter sport, or in the case of football, there might be a couple of different ideas there, would they do it? And we'll see what the results come back. I'm putting a letter together right now with Mr. Lehue, our athletic director. We're going to be sending that around to some of our elected officials, the health department and the governor's office, just to, let them know that we're not just sitting out here waiting for them to make a decision. We're going to be advocating for our students to have additional opportunities in a safe way, obviously. In our fine arts department, I feel the exact same way. So when Mr. Griskowiak, pardon me, Damien, when he comes to me with an idea about things he wants to do for the spring, or anybody else does, I take it into consideration, try to make it happen, and give students those opportunities. So our big focus areas are going to continue to be cleaning and keeping people safe, and mental health of all. That means you too. It's we can't do anything else if you're not well in every way, and if we're not keeping the spaces clean on a regular basis so that we can have school, bottom line. And then, we're working on the education piece. And I read a lot of information, and I try to read information from a variety of sources so I don't get swayed one way or the other. And of course, I'm sure like you have, I've read everything that says that students are losing years of their learning during this pandemic. And then I've read other things that say students are farther ahead because they're able to learn on their computer and everything else. And I think the truth is in the middle, to be frank with you. I think there are some students who probably haven't lost a beat during all of this. And I think there are some students who are falling behind maybe a little bit more than they normally would in a school year. And then I think there's a whole boatload of people that once we can get back to quote normal, are going to get right where they need to be in a short amount of time. And our job as community members and me as a superintendent is to make sure that they have the resources to be able to get where we need them to be as we move along here. Science of reading is another piece. Some of you were involved in my interview committee process a couple years ago, and I got hired, and I mentioned, and one of the reasons why I came here was I really feel strongly that with the students and employees and the community base that we have, we can be a blue ribbon school. There's no question about it. I've been very fortunate. My previous 2 school districts, we started out not being blue ribbon schools, and we became blue ribbon schools. And there's a formula to that. And I really truly believe that we have all the pieces to put the formula together. We do need to work on how we teach reading. There's been a lot of advancements in technology. I got to stand up and turn my light back on here. There's been a lot of advancements in how we look at the neuroscience related to teaching reading. We've been working with people to help us with that. And we also have to take a look at our curriculum of reading. And I think we've been working right along, even through COVID, on that. And once we get to a decision point and begin to implement some new curriculum for reading, I think we're going to see strides in achievement. And I think that's going to be the last piece we're going to need in order to kind of get us over the hump and get us into that national conversation as a blue ribbon school. So, I'm committed to that. I know our employees are committed to that, and our students are committed to that. And I'm sure you are as parents, making sure that the overall goal here is to make sure that students are successful in whatever they want to do when they graduate from high school. Whether it's a trade, whether it's a career, whether it's college, whether it's military, whatever they want to do, we want to make sure that they're ready for that. And having a blue ribbon school designation means that we've reached kind of a plateau where on a national level, our students can compete with anybody. And that's the goal. Also in the area of special education, just working on programming, making sure that we're doing things that are as efficient as possible so that our students who have special needs are able to get the resources that they need. And, my hope is to continue to improve our graduation rate for our students with disabilities and to make it so that they can also have those equal opportunities after school completes. And we're continuing to work on that as well. And then, as many of you, all of you probably are experiencing, that technology integration and infrastructure, it was kind of interesting to hear the governor, I thought, talk about broadband for everybody and all of that. I've been around long enough. I heard internet for everybody in 1996 when I was a technology director and not a superintendent yet. And we still have some people who don't have the internet, right? So I hope he's serious about broadband. You've had the frustration. I've had the frustration. Your kids have had the frustration. Teachers have had the frustration of technology not working between home and school sometimes and all of that. And a lot of it comes down to infrastructure. It's not quite there in all the spaces that it needs to be. And we want to make sure on our end that we've got everything we need so that if that were to occur, we can seamlessly do that. So my fingers crossed for the future. If I had a crystal ball, because I get asked this all the time, what do I see next year and all of that. In my perfect world would be, I'd like to see it how it was before COVID, of course. None of us like change. So it's the non-changing people in us would say we want to see how it was like before COVID. Probably not going to happen. There are some things that have changed that will probably continue to change and be that way after COVID. However, in my brain, a likely scenario would probably be if the rollout of the vaccine increases and we're able to get our population of adults vaccinated, I could see them relaxing some of the social distancing requirements, and every inch they give us means more students we can put back in school on a regular basis. So, somebody asked me what's the magic number to get all of our students back. And I said to them, if they can give us 4 feet of social distancing instead of 6 and have kids wear masks, we can probably get all of our students back every day. It's 24 inches per student we can probably bring everybody back. So we're not talking about a lot, but so that's what I see a likely scenario for the fall. Maybe a little less social distancing, more students at school. Hopefully, all of the activities that we've been used to, if not all of them, most of them. I do see mask wearing still. I mean, obviously, I'm not that kind of doctor, and I can't foresee the future. But when I talk to people who are in the field and all of that, I talk to epidemiologists and everything. I put all those ideas together in my head, and when I'm walking Luna, that's what I think about. And these are the ideas that kind of spit out: the little less social distancing, more students at school, and mask wearing. And hopefully I'm wrong, and we're back to school with no social distancing, no masks. But I just don't see that. But we'll find out. We're going to find out soon enough. So now this comes to the point where I'll take any questions that you might have. I know it's an odd time of the day, but we have so many other things that are going on. I appreciate it. All of you know I'm very available. You can pick up the phone and give me a call. You can send me an email. You can find me on social media, and I'll respond. You can see me at FoodLink, as many of you do, and ask questions. Whatever you need from me, I'm here for you. It's what I do, and I very, very, very much enjoy being here and being with your kids and being with our employees and with you. And so whatever you need from me, we're in it all together, and let's keep working together. So I'm gonna stop my screen share there. I'm going to take one last look at our computer screen, or at my YouTube screen, because it is about 20 seconds behind or so. I think we're okay right now. I don't see any other questions. So no. So with that, like I said, thanks again. This will be available on YouTube. Give it a couple of hours to render, and then you'll be able to watch it and